introduction to Jeremiah. Jeremiah's life and Jeremiah's book are a single piece. He wrote what he lived and he lived what he wrote. There is no dissonance between his life and his book. Some people write better than they live. Others live better than they write. Jeremiah, writing or living, was the same Jeremiah. This is important to know because Jeremiah is the prophet of choice for many when we find ourselves having to live through difficult times and we want some trustworthy help in knowing what to think, how to pray, how to carry on. We'd like some verification of credentials. This book provides the verification. We live in disruptive times. The decades preceding and following the pivotal third millennium are not exactly unprecedented. There have certainly been comparable times of disruption in the past that left everyone reeling, wondering what on earth and in heaven was going on. But whatever their occasion or size, troubles require attention. Jeremiah's troubled life spanned one of the most troublesome periods in Hebrew history, the decades leading up to the fall of Jerusalem in 587 BC, followed by the Babylonian exile. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And Jeremiah was in the middle of it all, sticking it out, praying and preaching, suffering and striving, writing and believing. He lived through crushing storms of hostility and furies of bitter doubt. Every muscle in his body was stretched to the limit by fatigue. Every thought in his mind was subjected to questioning. Every feeling in his heart was put through fires of ridicule. He experienced it all agonizingly and wrote it all magnificently. What happened, or what happens when everything that you believe in and that you live by is smashed to bits by circumstances? Sometimes the reversals of what we expect from God come to us as individuals, other times as entire communities. And when it happens, does catastrophe work to reform our lives to conform to who God actually is and not the way we imagined or wished him to be? Does it lead to an abandonment of God, or worse? Does it trigger a stubborn grasping to the old collapsed system of belief, holding on for dear life to an illusion? Anyone who lives in disruptive times looks for companions who have been through them earlier, wanting to know how they went through it, how they made it, what it was like. In looking for a companion who has lived through catastrophe or catastrophic disruption and survived with grace, biblical people more often than not come upon Jeremiah and receive him as a true, honest, and God-revealing companion for the worst of times. Who is this from? Imagine there was one guy on board the Titanic with sonar equipment trying to get the captain and crew to believe that there was an iceberg ahead. They'd never even heard of sonar, and they thought it was nuts. Well, that guy was Jeremiah, and the Titanic was his country. He struggled to convince his people that if they didn't change course morally, God would let them crash. He never quit pleading with them or God, not even when the king had him thrown into a pit while invading armies starved out the last survivors in Jerusalem. In a way, he was a failure because he didn't achieve the results he wanted. But he was also a success because he did what he had to do. Who was this written to? When Jeremiah's ministry began, the people of Judah just wanted to float on economic good times. As war, ruthless political factions, ambition, corruption, and eventually economic collapse and famine gradually sucked the nation under, the people scrambled to hang on to anything, including fantasies about God, that promised to keep them alive. They lashed out at Jeremiah with arrests and death threats, calling him a traitor because he predicted their defeat. When was this written? About 646 to 586 BC. In 621 BC, Athens was in economic and social turmoil. A leader named Draken brought order through a set of extremely strict laws. Almost every crime had the death penalty. We get our word draconian from him. Later in 590, a leader named Solon reformed the city's laws, keeping the death penalty only for murder and manslaughter. He tried to find fair solutions to the conflicts between the rich and the poor. The Constitution he wrote was a major step towards a democratic government.